Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Pro and Expert Division with various wins for the Watfield Sands in the Michigan Lynx tournament here in Golf Clash the Game. Before we take a closer look at all the videos, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. Do what more than 2,000 players has done for April, that is to sign up for any of our tour or tournament guide packages. You can scan the QR code here on the screen, or you can use the link patreon.com/golfclashatomy that is in the description down below. We have something for each and every one, so check it out and find a package that suits you. Follow the info box on the right hand side for the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also what ball and club type I suggest you to play with. Have in mind that those are all suggestions and you don't have to follow it if you don't want to, but there is always a plan behind it. So let's go to hole number 1. Hole number 1. Now we're going to try to get ourselves as far down the fairway possible. The closer we are to the end of the fairway, the better it's going to be. So it's a very open fairway. There is very little risk for water and rough here, but it puts a lot of pressure on you as a player to have a club with a lot of topspin, or that you in that case are having a better ball, or that you do have the best possible clubs. Maximum distance plus 15, and in a headwind I would recommend, regardless on how much topspin you do have on your driver, that you go max overpower, because even if you do hit a bad grade to the left or to the right, the fairway are so wide so you won't be getting into trouble. Second shot, now it's a sniper towards the pin. This is a very weird shot in my opinion. I'm playing from min line here, which I do like, so I like the idea with it, but the elevation here is much greater than what it should be from a logic perspective. I mean, when we're taking our shot, it looks like we're playing uphill, but we're playing it with a downhill elevation. And that was definitely one of the tougher parts when we had the Watfield Sands hole 1 for the first time. So what I recommend here is to not play as I'm doing in the video. I'm playing at minimum distance with 5% elevation. I would recommend to play 20% elevation and true club distance. So in this instance, we should be playing 20% elevation together with minimum distance, because you can see here we come onto the fairway, we bounce up towards the pin, and we're missing fairly wide on the left hand side, definitely with a good half a ring, which is once again speaking towards we need more elevation. And the reason I have medium distance in the info box is due to the fact that we will be somewhere between minimum and medium distance most of the time. For hole number 2 in tailwind, we are going to play with a wood club. Here you can play with a Horizon, but you can also play with the sniper if you do have the sniper in level 10. The problem with the sniper in a lower level is that you will most likely not have the power enough to reach to the spot that we want to. You can see here that I'm wiggling around, and the funnel here on the back of the green is absolutely massive. And obviously this is our goal. We are going to try to catch that funnel, so we're going to roll past the pin and then use the slope of the green and then fall back down. If you do play with the sniper or with the Horizon, we shall still keep the 10% elevation, and we're going to play max numbers. In the video I play power 4 ball numbers because that was aligning better with the complete adjustment. If you do play in a crosswind or a headwind, I do recommend to play with a driver instead from the same position, but then obviously the spins will be slightly different, because you will most likely need less topspin in headwind because you're playing with a driver, and then the adjustment might differ as well. Quarterback or the rock is to prefer in headwind just because of the ball guideline, because having a good ball guideline here is definitely an advantage over those that do not have a good ball guideline. So this is an extremely good chance in my opinion to have an hole-in-one. Hole number 3 is probably one of the tougher par 5s in the whole game to get an eagle on, and even tougher when it is to get an albatross on. I don't think I've seen many. I think 2 or 3 albatross in this one, and I must say that has been more or less a complete fluke if getting that albatross to drop from distance. So what I'm doing here, that I'm playing with a power 5 ball, I would say that that is an absolute must, because we do need all the distance that we can get on the second shot. Using 4.5 bar top spin and 2 left spin, using max curl to the left, adjusting max no elevation, and the goal is to get as far down this fairway island without obviously rolling into the rough. The reason I'm using a lot of curl is due to the fact that the fairway slopes left to right, and if we're not using the curl, we will most likely roll into the rough on the right because the ball will be massively pushed down there. Second shot, now having a headwind, we cannot go over the rough and the sand with our first bounce. We're going to have to bounce before. So now use the wood club that gives you the most power, but also the most topspin. Because the more topspin we have, the closer we can get to the green for a third shot, which is going to be a big pressure on. Because if we're not dropping that one, we're going to get a birdie. And it's still going to be around like a medium-sized wedge. You can see here that we're bouncing down the fairway, and you can see we're close to green, but not that close that we kind of want to be. So let's take a look at the wedge just as a reference. It's going to play EB School plus 20% P5 as we're playing with a power 5 ball. Here you can, if you do have Endbringer 7 or 8, you can use all the topspin and play EB School minus 35% P4 numbers instead. Obviously that's going to be much easier, and it will give you a possibility to drop even though you're hitting a great ball, or even if you hit a great ball. But you can see here now the wedge is not a gimme. Be focused, because an eagle here, regardless what wind direction you have off tee, is going to be a very good thing to have on your scorecard, because your opponents will definitely struggle as much as you do, and birdie will be definitely more common than getting an albatross, or I would say a birdie will be in headwind of tee more common than an eagle on many players' scorecard. For hole number 4, we're gonna play from complete minimum distance with a power 3 ball. This is a very tough par 3, even though it doesn't look like it. And the reason this is a tough one is because of that slight downhill fairway that is just before the green, because that one is not acting in a logic way, in my opinion. Obviously, when it comes to par 3s, it's all about finding a good spot, and then to obviously then adapt and tweak everything else to work with that spot, and that's what I'm trying to do here in the video. Maximum distance with a 15% over adjustment with a power 5 ball settings here in the video. Hit perfect, and we're gonna bounce on the fairway and then take that downhill slope, and we roll not quick at all, but just to the right of the pin. Obviously the spins and the adjustment will vary depending on what type of wind angle you have. In a tailwind, you're going to play with a long iron, and here you can see in a headwind and a crosswind, we're going to play with a wood club. Take your game to the next level with our Ultimate Tournament Text Guides for Pro Expert and Master Division Michigan Links Tournament. We are adapting for the wind changes throughout the week. We do have the most solid platform for you to improve your game as a player. So scan the QR code here on the screen, or you use the link patreon.com/golfclashtommy that is in the description down below. That will take you to the page where you find all our packages, and you can see that we do offer tour guides and also tournament guides for 18-hole tournaments and 9-hole cups. So make sure to sign up and start do what more than 2,000 players has done already in April to improve your Golf Clash game. Hole number 5, we're gonna play with the quarterback in tailwind, this to lay up here on the fairway. Now you may be thinking, is there any way to get over to the middle fairway island there? Yes, there is, but it's also going to be involving a lot of risk, and the water will most definitely be in play. So here for in a playthrough and whole guy perspective, I'm laying up and taking myself a safe eagle. But from a tournament standpoint, especially if in opening round and a weekend round, I most definitely see nothing wrong with getting over to the fairway island and then pushing to get an albatross. Even though the albatross will be rare, getting over to that island, it will still be a possibility, which laying up here where we are now, the possibility will be very, very rare. Second shot, we're gonna play with our Guardian, max backspin, and we're gonna utilize the tailwind, just land the ball on green, and just be done with it. The drive is adjusted max plus 15, and the second shot is actually adjusted max plus 20, even though it's not that much downhill. But due to playing over all the water definitely has an effect in how much the ball is affected by the wind. So max plus 20, and it could, based on the result here now with a perfect, we could honestly have adjusted even max plus 30 or max plus 40. But we are doing what we came to do, which is to get a safe eagle. If you do have a crosswind or a headwind of T, getting over to the middle island is not going to be a possibility. And you're going to have to lay up as we did here in the video. But then I recommend to play with the rock or to play with Extra Mile, Apocalypse, Force Hammer. And then you're going to play with the Cataclysm or the big dog on the very far right island and bounce it over towards the green area. So no matter what type of wind you're having here, the eagle is going to be difficult and the albatross will be very rare. Hole number 6, here we're going to play with the rock in tailwind, in crosswind, and headwind. I would recommend to play with either Apocalypse, Force Hammer, or the Extra Mile, as we would be needed of more power. Playing with 4 bars of top spin, 2 bars of right spin, and adjustment is going to be maximum distance plus 10. I'm playing with a power 3 ball instead, not instead, but I'm playing with a power 3 ball. And there is no need to play with more power here. And I think if we can keep it with a Kingmaker, it's definitely going to be a good thing when it comes to the different balls we can select between. Getting ball down the fairway is good. Now we're looking to be either with a max distance Grizzly or to be in minimum distance with Sniper. And you can see here on the second shot that the Grizzly is going to be the play. A little bit shorter would have been a Sniper. And the Grizzly here is going to be, together with the B52 level 7 or better, going to be the best club due to its better ball guideline. It will give you the possibility to rely on the ball guideline in a much bigger extent. Grizzly level 9 obviously has a little bit more power than Grizzly 7 and Grizzly 8, so if your intention is to play the Grizzly all the time, then maybe push the drive a little bit harder so you get a couple of more yards so you won't be struggling with Grizzly 7 or 8. 10% elevation, true club distance, hit perfect, and you will see yourself having a decent chance for an eagle here on hole number 6. If there is a tailwind, there is possibility to send it over to the final fairway. I would, however, say that that's going to be requiring a lot of topspin boost. I remember we had this even from the 30 way back, where we did have a lot of topspin boost to use, such as the Spirit Ball and Owl Ball and stuff like that, and there wasn't really anything that got consistently over to get by the green, which obviously is a goal if you send it, otherwise you could equally lay up and save the better balls. Hole number 7 is also a good chance to a drop, in my opinion. Hole number 2 is the best of the par 3s, and hole 7 comes just after that, in my opinion. And we're gonna play 3.5 backspin and 3 left spin. You can see that I'm playing absolute minimum distance here. I'm looking to have blue ring to just touching the bunker on the left. That's going to be the position once I stop wiggling around here on the screen. Minimum distance with a 20% over adjustment is what I'm using here. What has to be said is, if you do have a tailwind, then playing from min line here is going to be very difficult, as you're gonna pull into in between clubs. So you're going to then play with a Sniper from absolute max distance instead. There is a slight funnel on the green, so if you're catching the correct spot, this is going to be a very good chance for a drop. It's just very difficult to find that spot, because it's not every time that you're gonna find the position as wanted. So even though it is a very weird looking par 3, a lot of downhill, a lot of slopes, it's actually one of the better chances for an hole-in-one, and also one of the better chances we do have for a drop of the Waterfield Sands. For hole number 8 here, there are tons of value in getting over to the right side, or let's say we can call it straight forward, is when you do have to go on the left side, which will be needed if you do have a headwind. then it's going to be a wood club from distance on a very bouncy fairway, which never really going to be something that I would like to suggest if it's not an absolute must. If a crosswind, I would recommend to play with a power 5 ball. Honestly, in a tailwind like this, there's nothing wrong to play with a power 5 ball here also, to avoid having to go with max overpower. Now I'm getting the ball very close to the rough line, or not very close, but kind of close, which is good. 400 yards is a perfect yardage. Second shot, now we're gonna play with a long iron to pin, and now it's all about finding a correct reference point, which could be a landing position plus yardage, or a fringe check, or a pin check, because as you will be in somewhat no man's land with the target, with no references of the rings by the fringe, then you will have to rely on the plus yardage to give you the correct adjustment. 15% elevation, and then obviously whatever slider percentage you decide to go with, and you bounce on the fairway up towards the pin. Unfortunately, coming in just a little bit left with a little bit more adjustment, we would see ourselves getting that one to drop for an eagle. Hole number 8, it's definitely it's very makeable, but it's no gimme, as no of the Waterfield Sands are. Hole number 9 is by far the easiest par 5 to have a chance for an albatross, but also to drop the albatross. Obviously, the drive is everything, as always when it comes to longer holes like this. Starting at the max line with rock level 8. Rock level 9 start at the plus 15 yard mark, which is 1 yard below max. Max plus 10 is what I'm adjusting, using 3.8 topspin and 2 left spin. The goal here is to hit perfect, obviously. But the idea with the whole play is to bounce on the fairway over to the other fairway, and obviously to avoid the freaking rough there that we do have there on the left hand side. A perfect and a great right, I would say, to favor over a great left, as great left often give you some dead bounces. Now, second shot is going to be with the Grizzly. Now it's all about finding a reference. I'm using the fringe, where the fringe meets the fairway, as a reference. 2 right spin to remove myself as much as I can from the rough line. And here it is probably the most important thing to focus on is the topspin and the speed that you get onto the green to the hole. If you come in too hot, you may roll down the green. You can see it's slightly downhill, and if you are too far away from the pin, you will have an impossible putt. I've honestly experienced that a couple of times in tour play, which is not really a fun thing to be involved in. 5% elevation, and here from plus 8 I'm using 96% slider, just as a reference, because I know, as well as I think you do, that the adjustment will vary depending on what wind direction and strength you're having on the second shot here. Bouncing on in the rough, and rolls down the green and right the pin for a lovely albatross on hole number 9. To just summarize the par 5s, hole 3 and hole 5, there will be very few albatross made, but hole 9 is definitely the one where if you can score an albatross here, it will sit very well on your scorecard, as that will be very good as a tiebreaker, because not everyone will drop the albatross, but it's there. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching this playthrough with VariSwin for the Pro and Expert division here for the Michigan Lynx tournament in Golf Clash the Game. Make sure to scan the QR code for the best guides on the market, tour play and tournament guides for you all. Scan it, or you use the link patreon.com/golfclashtommy that is in the description down below. Thank you so much once again for watching. Good luck in your Golf Clash game.